So this goat basically sticks to my feet everywhere I go, and I don't know why, because Sarah is the one that treats it like it's a newborn baby. She's got these little sweaters and stuff left over from her dog, so she's got a Halloween sweater on now. But if I go, even the horses and Sarah the dog are over on that side of the yard, and I go walking all the way into the driveway to go in the house, the goat runs to catch up to me and stands at my feet. It's really weird. And then if I'm in the house, it'll just stand on the back deck looking in the glass door, and you let it in, and it wants to go sit at my feet underneath the computer table, and it just sits there with me. It's really weird. And then I get up and walk out the house, the thing comes walking out of the house and follows me just like this everywhere I go. Pretty bizarre. But anyway, it's the end of the day. A long one today, I got a lot done. And I got an email to share. And I'm anticipating this to be quite informative. I'm hoping it is. And there's going to be a lot more to come via this contact, alright? So let's see what he shared. I haven't a clue. I haven't read it yet. Alright, here we go. You ready? Looks like it's a long one. November 22nd, 2017. Eyes. It was late June 1998 in a suburban area of South Okanagan. Morning came early. It was also the first day of our annual vacation. These long days at this time of year was exactly what I've been waiting for. Today was going to be another very long and hot day. Still early in the summer, and we were going to the small inland lakes. Would be busting with small and medium-sized rainbow trout. Just what I was looking for. Both of us were looking for quiet and solitude. Be one with nature and enjoy each other's company. We were a typical middle-aged couple. Worked hard all of our lives and had just found themselves childless for the first time in 25 years. Both thought this would be a welcome time to be by ourselves, but as in all things in life, we were very wrong. I came upon writing this story by pure carnal experience. One which I hope to never repeat. I have never been sure what really to do with the accounts I am about to relate, but this is so strange it will be incredibly hard for others who read this to find the truth of it. My work revolved around this subject, but I never thought I would ever have an encounter myself. If I did, I would have been armed for all contingencies. No drinks were consumed, nothing but coffee, tea, and a willingness to get this off my chest to someone whom I hope I can relate and would not judge, but perhaps look at this experience through different eyes. I wrote this way back in 2017, long after the experience had transpired, careful to tell no one for fear of reprisals to me and my loved ones. A few years after this happened, I did get some professional help who suggested that I write a book about my experiences and download some of the dark memories it held. I did that. I wrote over 88,000 word book about everything I know. When I finished, I even completed a copyright, knowing I would never be able to publish due to my work. I am drifting back to the story. I did specialized work. You could say cleanup, when different groups would interact, cause a shitload of trouble, and potentially expose a secret that needed to be kept in the closet for now. I prided myself on being 100% black and white basic guy who valued my integrity and privacy. Living in BC all my life, which did entail a great deal of travel, and constantly moving to different locations as they became hotspots during my career. I had 4 professional hobbies: hunting, fishing, camping, and playing hockey as hard as my aging body would let me. However, today was the start of our vacation camping in the Quesnel Lake District in a private campground surrounded by dozens of small trout-filled lakes. We finished packing the fifth wheel, the pickup, and the very small 6-foot plastic boat with electric motor. We were all set to go by 8 in the morning. The trip seemed to take forever, with the summer highway traffic very congested and with some construction on the roads. Finally, in the late afternoon, we pulled into the campground at the end of Horsefly Lake. The folks that owned the lodge were great people, and had been living in the area most of their lives. I had brought in a small plastic boat and electric motor because of the small lakes I would be fishing again this year. This gear would be easy to pack into these very grown over and undeveloped lakes. It did not take us long to figure out that the mosquitoes were beyond intolerable, probably due to the very wet spring we had experienced all over the province that year. Out came the repellent. We would take turns spraying each other all the way from top of the head down to the end of our toes. It was now time for the first drink and a walk over to see Jason, owner of the lodge. Jason gave me the rundown on the best lakes to try in the area, plus he suggested a small lake that did not even have a name, but Jason did say some folks tried the lake last year with great success. I thought I would try the small lake later in the week as I decided to try a few others first. After an uneventful evening, it was early to bed. Had a very quiet evening and we had a great sleep. Next morning came early, but because I had organized myself the evening before, I was ready to go out and try my luck very early in the morning. The sky was a bright blue with no clouds. The roads were very dusty and the gravel was rough. My wife had given me a fresh bug repellent shower, and as I left, I promised my wife some fresh fish for dinner. I was off for the day with my small boat, battery, electric motor, fishing rod, and lunch. My wife went back into the fifth wheel to take her shower, get away from the bugs, and read a couple of books she had picked out for the trip. She was in heaven. Let me fight the bugs and get fish innards all over myself while she read in quiet comfort. As I drove away from the campground, I soon realized how rough the gravel forestry road was. It was bad, large holes in the middle of the road, large rocks that had been graded for a long time. I looked at the weather, all blue sky, going to be another hot one, so I decided to take a little slower and go to the first closest lake to try my luck. I had done very well on this lake last year. I backed up to the side of the lake, no wind. Great, I thought, until the masses of mosquitoes attacked me. Every breath I took, I was sure I swallowed at least one of the little buggers. With the boat in the lake, rod and tackle, lunch, electric motor, and battery, in I went. Before leaving the shore, for the safety of deep water and a reprieve from these bugs, I just had to put on my life preserver and then I was gone. The water was crystal clear. I've been told it was fed by underground springs. Along the south side of the modest lake was a moose pasture that had grasses and water lilies that came out into the lake until disappearing into deeper water. I noticed that too, the east end of the lake had a very small creek draining the lake. Probably good trout fishing there as well, I thought. Out in the deeper water, I was amazed by the clarity of the lake. I guessed I could see down at least 20 feet or more. Now back to business. What do I have in my tackle box that would entice these little buggers, I thought? A small dark purple leech. That should work. Just what the doctor ordered to entice a good-sized trout to take the bait. Out goes the hook behind the boat. I was thinking it would take a long while to find what they would take, but then trout on. It was a small trout, but a real fighter, out of the water. I thought it was going to be fun, and it only took seconds to get on. Once the fish was at the side of the boat, I decided to let this one go. There will be more. This one was too small. As I looked at the fish, I then realized just how colorful the trout were in this little lake. Light green on top, deep black spots down the sides in multiple colors, light red, silver, and large outline spots and very bright eyes. The tail of the fish was wide, dark green toward the body, fanning out to a very light green and completely covered in spots. I let it go. All I wanted was 2 fish, modest size, for my wife and myself to have dinner. The fishing went on for over 3 hours, catch and release while keeping just 2. I had no idea how many fish I caught that day, but it was a lot. Having had lunch on the boat and a very cold beer for the first time, I realized I was the only person on the lake. No one else was there. I then realized that every fish breaking the surface of the lake I could hear for some distance. All of a sudden, my senses went into overdrive as I heard something moving on the other side of the lake in the bush. I reeled in my line and turned the small craft in the direction of the noise, keeping in mind that the boat and motor made very little noise. For a few seconds, everything stopped. Something walked right out from behind a willow bush. The clock seemed to stand still. And then I started to breathe again. I was just startled by a great-looking white-tailed buck that had already developed a reasonably large set of antlers, 4 points on each side in velvet. I got to within 30 feet of the magnificent deer. For several minutes, we just stared at each other. The deer, ears full forward, trying to figure out what I and the boat were. The deer had grass just hanging from its mouth, and I, with a beer in my hand, just totally spellbound. Finally, the buck must have decided that this is enough, so he snorted, pounded a hoof to the ground, and just like that was gone in the deep underbrush. With that, I decided it was time to go see what my wife was doing. Lots of time for fishing yet to be done, and I needed to add my camera to my list of items to bring. After packing up from the lake and back on the main gravel road, I found that a grader had been on the road all day, pulled all kinds of nonsense from the ditches back onto the road. I thought that I must be careful to avoid a flat going back to the lodge. No such luck. Crap. Left rear is flat and it's hot and dusty. Now I'm not happy anymore, I think to myself. Still a half-hour drive back to the lodge. An hour and 15 later. The tire's been changed, but now no spare. The service station in the village is closed by now. As luck would have it, I make it back to the lodge and go right in to talk to Jason. He gave him the flat tire. While I'm off fishing in the little lake that Jason had originally told me about, Jason was kind enough to get the flat repaired and back to the lodge before I got back for the day. All sounds like a good alternative. The reason I was going to try this unknown lake is because I may be able to bypass the main logging road and might not have to worry about any grading done to the road. Perhaps I could avoid another flat tire and still catch good fish. Now, for as long as I've been going into the outdoors, I've always been a little jumpy, going into unfamiliar terrain. I do have a sixth sense. I've used it back when I was a young man and found a couple of lost kids by tracking them all night long, but that's another story for another time. When I left the lodge on this third day, it was a bit earlier, and even though the sky is blue, the temperature had dropped significantly overnight, and a light mist was laying all over the first 20 to 30 feet off the ground. I followed the map Jason had given me the night before. My plan is to fish for half the day, leave before it got too hot, and spend the afternoon and evening with my wife. After getting the tire changed back on one road, then turn left on another and yet another, each road getting smaller and rougher, but all the while avoiding fresh graded surfaces. Just when I thought I was lost and there was no lake, I came to a very small landing, and there was this very small lake, very tiny indeed. I thought it was no more than 10 acres at most. More a moose pasture on one end and a log with mud holding it in place right in front of me. I could see nothing else due to the mist that just came floating in. Even though I was able to back my truck right up to one end of a medium-sized log, it still took me over half an hour to put everything in the boat and get ready to push off. Something was bothering me. I just didn't know what it was. I just wanted to catch fish. As I worked my way out into deeper water, I started to realize that the mist was starting to rise and the air was clearing up, but what was that smell? Every so often it would attack my senses. Must be a skunk or something. Thank God it only came over me once in a while. Now I was anxious to prove there were fish in this little pond. Excuse me. I'm always excited to get the new waters to try my luck, and could see a stream coming in on the north side of the lake. It looked like the stream drained out the west end of the lake. After 2 hours of hard fishing, nothing. No fish, no bites. Excuse me. Looks like I found the wrong place, or Jason to give me the wrong directions. I tried yet another hook. A small black leech, and presto, that was the charm. Fish indeed, and big ones. The first one will feed both of us. It's a keeper, and the rest I'll turn back. After fishing for about another hour, the air was completely clear. The mist was gone. I noticed that when I took a troll by the very large willow patch at the opposite end of the lake, the stench was always there. So was the good fishing. I kept thinking back to my training. The smell was similar. Very bad, but I could take it for another hour and then head back to the lodge. I did notice that my body was starting to shake just a little. It always did that when danger was close by. For some unknown reason, I checked my lunch kit just to make sure my handgun was there. It was. I have no idea why I did that. I also noticed that the entire forest became very quiet. Perhaps this would be my last pass at this end corner of the lake. Good fish here. Now a little boat like the one described allows you to troll in very shallow water. So I decided to troll close to the beach and see if I could pick up one last large trout. I became aware that my senses just turned on again. The hairs on the back of my neck straightened out, and my breathing became more controlled and faster. What the hell? Someone's watching me. But where? That's when I first heard footsteps walking in the willow patch next to me, keeping pace as I trolled very slowly. I turned the boat very slowly away from whatever animal was stalking. Something was for sure. My senses were on high alert, and it was time to troll back to my truck. I told myself it could be a moose or a deer, like the day before. No. As I turned the boat around to troll back in the opposite direction, whoever was in the willow patch also turned back to parallel my movements. The willow patch was very large, about 60 feet long, along the beach. I would estimate about 20 feet high for most of the willows. Very thick and kind of dark along the bottom 6 to 8 feet. It was very thick. Yet someone was walking beside me, watching my every move. Time to think, would anyone else be around here? Doubtful. I was about 20 miles from the lodge in an area of BC with very few people. The back of the lake was pure outdoor forest. The road I came in on ended just about 100 feet past where my truck was parked. What the F? I thought about my work, tried to organize my thoughts and kick in my skill set. Calm down, man, as I reached for my gun, just to be on the safe side. Something hammered a thought into my head: leave the weapon where it is. For some very strange reason, I did just that as I tried to see anything in the patch. Nothing was there. I then noticed I was in deep sweat. Something has spooked me bad. I again thought to myself, I'm the only person in these backwoods for 20 miles. As I get out in the lake, to at least 100 feet from the willow patch, I turn the boat to look straight at the patch. I'm starting to regain my composure. My training is starting to kick in hard. There is now no noise, even though down to my right, in behind a rise in the beach made up of green grass, I thought I saw something move. Perhaps a bear cub? It was small and moving fast into the woods right beside the willow patch. Was I spooked by a family of black bears? I reeled up my fishing line, now more curious than anything else. Half thinking I was going to see a black bear or some other well-known wildlife, I searched for my camera. Screw it. I think I'll make one more pass without fishing. Go in very shallow and close, take a picture if I see anything. Then I hear a tree break. Sounded like a small, old, dead, dry tree. Now I was again unsure what the hell it was. Against instinct and better judgment, I then decided to keep going towards the willow patch and try to take a picture of whatever wildlife this was. When I hit the top of my normal troll pattern, I was going in the opposite direction, very close to the edge of the beach. Again, the walking in the forest started up, walking with him in the same direction. I thought that was very strange. Perhaps I'm too close and should just leave, call it a day. This time, though, I thought I heard people talking and instantly thought someone was playing a joke on me at my expense. But who could it be? At the top of my lungs, I yell out, "You assholes!" In the next 10 seconds, the response I get back takes 5 years off my life. The scream is tenfold as loud as mine was, and the top of the green pine tree, about 4 feet long, flew over my head to the other side of the boat, splashing into the lake. What the hell? Now I was sure what this was. My mind was picking up thought of kill, attack, and all bad shit. My instinct kicked in. Flight seemed to be in the right course of action. Now the willow patch I've described is about 20 feet tall, big for our interior standards, so looking in from the lake gets harder as it gets darker. Only 20 or so feet in, I try to see what is about to attack me while I turn the boat away from the shore. I estimate to be only about 10 to 15 feet from the shoreline, far too close to what I think might come out of the bush. Lots of input was coming at me in very short order. I looked in the patch and see darkness. Then I do see movement and darker than darkness. Holy shit, it bellows again. This time, I have a bead on the thing and it's big. As my eyes focus, I see two very large eyes that seem to be red. Fuck, it's a Sasquatch. To my right, The end of the lake, the corner of my eye picks up a small Sasquatch. What the F? How did I get so close and in the middle of a family group? These bastards will kill you to protect their young. I could see the adult come through the willow patch charging at me. I tried hard not to piss my pants and to mind speak to it. Nothing seemed to work. All I could do was retreat as fast as possible. Then I was hit with a fear shot right into my brain. They have this ability to scare the shit out of people without touching them. It seems to hit you right in the chest. All my training seemed to leave me. All I wanted to do was get away. Boy, was this Sasquatch ever pissed off, but to my surprise, it stopped right at the water's edge and just screamed at me again. Its eyes were just glowing hot embers. I would never have shot this one because we know they usually travel in clans with 1 to 3 family groups. Somehow I had already just arrived at the opposite end of the lake to my parked truck. I only noticed how massive this creature was, all covered in very dark, almost black hair, except for its face. Arms were just as massive and long, more than us. Very small ears with no real neck. Just before my flight instinct kicked in, I also remembered that hair was long on some parts of its body and not other, like it was molting. Then there was the smell. My heart was still racing as I started to load everything in the back of my truck. The entire loading process took less than 5 minutes. When I got into the cab and turned on the motor and put the truck into drive, the bastard was still screaming at me from across the lake. I remember thinking that they sure are strong-minded about caring and protecting their young. I thought my heart was going to come right out of my chest. It pounded so hard. Never been so afraid in my life, even though I've worked cleaning up after unfortunate incidents. This is my first live fire exercise without any warning. I've asked myself a lot over the years, why me? Why there? Why them? These questions will never be answered to my satisfaction. Perhaps it's just as simple as being at the wrong place at the wrong time. With my training and my experience, it is clear to me these are not just wild animals. They think, plan, and try to avoid as best as possible our kind. I did ask more questions about why their eyes shine, even in bright sunlight. Here's the answer I got. The creatures have a huge advantage over everything else in the wilderness, including us. They see very well during the daytime and even better at night. They have a reflective layer called the tapetum lucidum. Very thick layer. The strongest science very thick layer. The strongest science has seen in any animal, added with their very big eyes, best in this world. Their eyes also have a very well pronounced chorid, C-H-O-R-O-I-D, 3 times as big as it needs to be. This all leads to the strong eye shine and a being that has absolute perfect eyesight in any weather conditions. They can even see infrared, thus making trail cameras obsolete. This is all a topic for another time. As I now look back, training or no training, I sold my 5th wheel and have never camped since. All my fishing has been done in saltwater with a guide at a lodge. Some big changes happened in my life. Now my goals are easy. I get a good night's sleep, spend more time with my family, and perhaps reach out to someone who would listen to my story. But more than that, if I can give out information that can save even just one life, it will have been worth it. They do exist. Looking into their DNA, it has brought about a thought by some very intelligent people. These beings have had some rather interesting DNA manipulation in the past. By who only knows. After all, I'm just a grunt. We have real DNA samples of the Sasquatch, the last tribe. I'll send you more information on topics related to Sasquatch when time permits. Take care and be safe. Al Wood. Okay, man. You got us. You got our attention. Without a doubt. I'll be looking forward to when you can share more. And whatever information you have, obviously it will help people without a doubt. but I am really, really interested in what you have to share. I won't. I mean, I could obviously ask you a gazillion questions. I probably will via email. I guess if it's saltwater fishing you like, maybe one day you can jump in the boat and we'll go. You can spend a day out on the west coast catching salmon and halibut, and talk about what you know, who you are, and what you did, what you trained to do, and possibly get a bunch of answers. Possibly answer a bunch of our questions, right? More so, why are we being misled? Why are we being lied to? Why are we not being told the truth? Why are our children not being officially informed of this knowledge from a young age? Why are rural families not being officially informed of this? I guess that's what we're doing now. We are informing people now, right? We're sharing the truth with people now. Like I said a gazillion times, it doesn't matter if people don't believe you or think you're a kook. As long as you are honest, and at least you were honest and shared with people what you saw, you're good. They can do with it what they want, but at least you were honest and you shared it with them to give them the heads up in case it happened to them, right? Talking to all of you. That's my motto. I always start off with, I didn't ask for what happened. I didn't ask to see what I saw, but I saw it and this is what happened and nobody's going to be able to change my story. It's not possible. No amount of laughter would be able to keep me shut up. No amount of laughter, ridicule, or insults or threats could make me change my story. It's just not going to happen. Otherwise, it'd be a liar, right? Anyway, thanks again for that share. Look forward for more. And we'll see what happens. Why me? Why do I gotta be a daddy goat? I don't want to be a daddy goat. Tomorrow you're gonna get your little sister. And maybe you'll leave me alone. Huh? Goofy little thing. Keep sending those shares in, you guys. All you people sit on the fence, just email it in and get it out. Just get it out. Share it. Get it off your chest. And all of you people who may be in the same field that this past author experiencer is, share what you got. Tell us the truth. Tell us about the last tribe. Alright? Share with us what you know about the last tribe. Alright, let's get one more out. It's still light enough. One more. Female Bigfoot's curious of me and my apologies. Steve, from Mike, thank you for this channel. Above all, reading our stories in a safe environment. You read 2 of 3 of my stories, except for the important description of the female Bigfoot you asked for. I agree the information and proof is there, slamming into our face. You asked, why the intentional search for more, as well as showing your frustrations at people that do. I'm sorry for sending what I thought was an informational email for people to try and understand these creatures. They are not from hell, nor want to eat your face. For me, when my father and I saw the female Bigfoot together, it changed my life. I wanted more. I needed to understand for myself what these beings were, what they are, and why they are here. Their population numbers are climbing, Steve. I've got proof. Laser measured, detailed proof of 7 different Bigfoot in that 20 square mile area. I'm not trying to prove anything to anyone. Rather, I'm collecting this information for my own sake, possibly helping or saving someone else. You're right, Steve. Proof of them isn't needed. After 6 weeks of hiking, I've been graced to see the female 4 times now, sitting and watching me as I sit, following me as I move. I feel I've come to know her in some strange way. Your channel is very important as well as your entertainment to millions. Truthful. You're a great influence for everyone that has an open mind. Thank you again, sir, for reading my emails. I'm going to carry on as I can in order to find peace with them enough to perhaps hunt my area again. Keep yourself safe and sound, sir. I won't overload your email with any more reports. Thank you, Steve. Mike Ray. Mike Ray or Roy? Mike Ray. Mike, thanks for that, man. Yeah. Keep that ball rolling, man. Learn as much as you can. And if you have more information, you find out, you gain more knowledge that you feel the public needs to have in their grasp, send it over. You're not clogging up my email, man. Send it in, all right? Send what you got. If you feel it's going to help anybody, send it in, okay? That goes for everyone else. I gotta get some horses in. I think I'm gonna off that rooster.